The alien in the Stargate, seeding the tree of life with a device. The entity wears a bird-headed mask and feels feminine. Both arms have wrist devices used for time travel, encoding grids, teleportation and communication. Creation by sound. Kabbalah tree of life. Ahura Mazda, overseer of Earth, higher extraterrestrial intelligence. Enki walks out of the water to the land attended by his messenger, Izimud, who is readily identifiable by his two faces looking in opposite directions, duality. Enki stands with the gods and the initiate. Water of life flowing into the laboratory glassware indicates alchemical circulations. Water of life flowing into the laboratory glassware indicates alchemical circulations. The creation of the first human. Laboratory vessels symbolize the bloodline and the tree of life. Laboratory vessels symbolize the bloodline and the tree of life. Handing the water/liquid/blood of life to a biogenetically engineered human. Humans are a hybrid species. In Sumerian mythology and later for Assyrians and Babylonians, Anu was a sky god, the god of heaven, lord of constellations, king of gods, spirits and demons, and dwelt in the highest heavenly regions. It was believed that he had the power to judge those who had committed crimes, and that he had created the stars as soldiers to destroy the wicked. He was the father of the Anunnaki. In art he was sometimes depicted as a jackal. His attribute was the royal tiara, most times decorated with 2 pairs of bull horns. In Sumerian mythology, Anu was the god whose name was synonymous with the sun's zenith, or heaven. He was the oldest god in the Sumerian pantheon, and part of a triad including Enlil, god of the sky, and Enki, god of water. He was called Anu by the Akkadians, rulers of Mesopotamia after the conquest of Sumer in 2334 before Common Era by King Sargon of Akkad. In Sumerian mythology and later for Assyrians and Babylonians, Anu was a sky god, the god of heaven, lord of constellations, king of gods, spirits and demons, and dwelt in the highest heavenly regions. It was believed that he had the power to judge those who had committed crimes, and that he had created the stars as soldiers to destroy the wicked. In art he was sometimes depicted as a jackal, linked with Mesoamerican gods. His attribute was the royal tiara, most times decorated with 2 pairs of bull horns. By virtue of being the first figure in a triad consisting of Anu, Bel and Ea, Anu came to be regarded as the father and king of the gods. Anu is so prominently associated with the city of Ur in southern Babylonia that there are good reasons for believing this place to have been the original seat of the Anu cult. If this be correct, then the goddess Nana, or Ishtar, of Ur was presumably regarded as his consort. The name of the god signifies the High One, and he was probably a god of the atmospheric region above the earth, perhaps a storm god like Hadad. However this may be, already in the Old Babylonian period, that is before Hammurabi, Anu was regarded as the god of the heavens, and his name became in fact synonymous with the heavens, so that in some cases it is doubtful whether, under the term, the god or the heavens is meant. It would seem from this that the grouping of the divine powers recognized in the universe into a triad symbolizing the 3 divisions, heavens, earth and the watery deep, was a process of thought which had taken place before the 3rd millennium. To Anu was assigned the control of the heavens, to Bel the earth, and to Ea the waters. The doctrine once established remained an inherent part of the Babylonian Assyrian religion and led to the more or less complete disassociation of the 3 gods constituting the triad from their original local limitations. An intermediate step between Anu viewed as the local deity of Ur, or some other center, Bel is the god of Nippur, and Ea as the god of Eridu is represented by the prominence which each one of the centers associated with the three deities in question must have acquired, and which led to each one absorbing the qualities of other gods so as to give them a controlling position in an organized pantheon. For Nippur we have the direct evidence that its chief deity, Enlil or Bel, was once regarded as the head of an extensive pantheon. The sanctity and, therefore, the importance of Eridu remained a fixed tradition in the minds of the people to the latest days, and analogy therefore justifies the conclusion that Anu was likewise worshipped in a center which had acquired great prominence. The summing up of divine powers manifested in the universe in a threefold division represents an outcome of speculation in the schools attached to the temples of Babylonia, but the selection of Anu, Bel and Ea for the three representatives of the three spheres recognized, is due to the importance which, for one reason or the other, the centers in which Anu, Bel and Ea were worshipped had acquired in the popular mind. Each of the three must have been regarded in his center as the most important member in a larger or smaller group, so that their union in a triad marks also the combination of the three distinctive pantheons into a harmonious whole. In the astral theology of Babylonia and Assyria, Anu, Bel and Ea became the three zones of the ecliptic, the northern, middle and southern zone respectively. The purely theoretical character of Anu is thus still further emphasized, and in the annals and votive inscriptions as well as in the incantations and hymns, he is rarely introduced as an active force to whom a personal appeal can be made. His name becomes little more than a synonym for the heavens in general, and even his title as king or father of the gods has little of the personal element in it. In Hurrian mythology, Anu was the progenitor of all gods. His son Kimabi bit off his genitals and spat out three deities, one of whom, Teshub, later deposed Kimabi. He bit off the genitals of Anu and spat out three new gods. One of those, the storm god Teshub, later deposed Kimabi. Scholars have pointed to the remarkable similarities between this Hurrian creation myth and the story of Uranos, Kronos, and Zeus from Greek mythology. This relief in the British Museum shows the Sumerian god Ninurta, also known by other names, in a gateway Stargate portal. His father was Enlil and his mother, Ninlil. Ninurta is very clearly using his index finger to push something on the wall. He wears two wrist devices, one used for time travel. The emblem around his neck matches the design of the Knights Templar. Ea, Enki, was a deity in Sumerian mythology, later known as Ea in Babylonian mythology. The name Ea is of Sumerian origin and was written by means of two signs signifying house and water. Enki was the deity of water, intelligence, creation, and lord of the Apsut, the watery abyss. Creation myths. The main temple of Enki was the so-called Yingara, the house of the water deep in Eridu, which was in the wetlands of the Euphrates Valley at some distance from the Persian Gulf, the cradle of civilization. His name is possibly an epithet bestowed on him for the creation of the first man, Adamu or Adapa. He was the leader of the first sons of Anu who came down to earth, playing a pivotal role in creating humans, then saving them from the deluge. According to Sumerian mythology, Enki allowed humanity to survive the deluge designed to kill them. After Enlil and the rest of the Anunnaki decided that man would suffer total annihilation, he covertly rescued the human man's Yuzudra by either instructing him to build some kind of an boat for his family, or by bringing him into the heavens in a magic boat. This is apparently the oldest surviving source of the Noah's Ark myth and other parallel Middle Eastern deluge myths. Flood myths. Linked to flood myths, Enki was considered a god of life and replenishment, and was often depicted with streams of water emanating from his shoulders. Alongside him were trees symbolizing the male and female aspects of nature, each holding the male and female aspects of the life essence, which he, as apparent alchemist of the gods, would masterfully mix to create several beings that would live upon the face of the earth. Family. Enki's youngest son, Ninazida, was lord of the Tree of Truth in Mesopotamia and played the role of Thoth in Egypt. The ancient mystery school teachings of Thoth were passed down to his initiates, who became the priests. They hid the secret knowledge of creation, passing it down through the ages until their experiment was to end. Symbols. Enki's emblem was two serpents entwined on a staff, the basis for the winged caduceus symbol used by modern Western medicine, and the rod of Hermes. His symbols included a goat and a fish, which later combined into a single beast, the Capricorn, which became one of the signs of the zodiac. Enki's sacred number is 40. Me, he was the keeper of the holy powers called me. The exact meaning of his name is not sure. The common translation is Lord of the Earth. The Sumerian N is translated as Lord, Ki's Earth. But there are theories that this name has another origin. Upsu, Eridu, meaning the good city, was one of the oldest settlements in the Euphrates Valley, and is now represented by the mounds known as Abu Shah. In the absence of excavations on that site, we are dependent for our knowledge of Ea on material found elsewhere. This is, however, sufficient to enable us to state definitely that Ea was a water deity, lord especially of the water under the earth, the Apsu. Whether Ea, or Ae as some scholars prefer, represents the real pronunciation of his name, we do not know. Older accounts sometimes suppose that by reason of the constant accumulation of soil in the Euphrates Valley, Eridu was formerly situated on the Persian Gulf itself, as indicated by mention in Sumerian texts of its being on the Apsu, but it is now known that the opposite is true, that the waters of the Persian Gulf have been eroding the land, and that the Apsu must refer to the fresh water of the marshes surrounding the city. Eridu. Whether Eridu at one time also played an important political role is not certain, though not improbable. At all events, the prominence of the Ea cult led, as in the case of Nippur, to the survival of Eridu as a sacred city, long after it had ceased to have any significance as a political center. Myths in which Ea figures prominently have been found in Assurbanipal's library, indicating that Ea was regarded as the protector and teacher of mankind. He is essentially a god of civilization, and it was natural that he was also looked upon as the creator of man, and of the world in general. Traces of this view appear in the Marduk epic celebrating the achievements of this god, and the close connection between the Ea cult at Eridu and that of Marduk also follows from two considerations. The name of Marduk's sanctuary at Babylon bears the same name, Esagla, as that of Ea in Eridu. Marduk is generally termed the son of Ea, who derives his powers from the voluntary abdication of the father in favor of his son. Accordingly, the incantations originally composed for the Ea cult were edited by the priests of Babylon and adapted to the worship of Marduk, and, similarly, the hymns to Marduk betray traces of the transfer of attributes to Marduk which originally belonged to Ea. It is, however, more particularly as the third figure in the triad, the two other members of which were Anu and Enlil, that Ea acquires his permanent place in the pantheon. To him was assigned the control of the watery element, and in this capacity he becomes the Sharapsi, that is king of the Apsu or the deep. The Apsu was figured as the abyss of water beneath the earth, and since the gathering place of the dead, known as Aralu, was situated near the confines of the Apsu, He was also designated as Enki, that is Lord of that which is below, in contrast to Anu, who was the Lord of the above or the heavens. The cult of Ea extended throughout Babylonia and Assyria. We find temples and shrines erected in his honor, for example at Nippur, Gersut, Babylon, Sippar and Nineveh, and the numerous epithets given to him, as well as the various forms under which the god appears, alike bear witness to the popularity which he enjoyed from the earliest to the latest period of Babylonian Assyrian history. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel.